Warning, some viewers may find this disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised.
Hello everyone, Neonstar here, and this is part 2 of talking about my pets. Be sure to watch part 1 for some context and come back here. Just like last time, most of these pets have passed, and it might get a bit disturbing, so there's your warning. Let's start with one of my favorite pets, Boo, who is a fluffy black cat. We were visiting this adoption pet festival that would show up in Albuquerque once a year. We were looking for an older female cat, and we came upon one that was for sale, and we took them home. After doing some investigating and a vet visit, we found out that instead of an older female cat, he was instead male and about 6 months old. But we loved him, and after a while we named him Boo. He was a boisterous, hyper ball of fluff who adored everyone, and everyone adored him. Even Casper, who didn't get along well with other cats often, was grooming and cuddling next to him within a week. We had him for some time, and he was full of personality. We think that maybe he was a Chantilly, since he resembled them and even chirped. He likely wasn't living in good conditions before we got him. On his first vet visit, he had 3 large ticks in his ears. Poor baby. One day, about 6 years after we got him, we noticed that he wasn't acting right, and he seemed very sick. The next day, my dad and sister went out to bring him to the vet. They had to walk, and the vet wouldn't even see them. Another person at the vet had offered to drive them to different vets to find one that would see them. By the time they got to a vet that would see him, he was already dead. Apparently, he had stopped peeing and his bladder burst. I still vividly remember my dad and sister coming back with an empty cage. He died on June 16th, 2017. Our next one is the last dog on this list. My mom was obsessed with the movie Hachi, and Hachi was an Akita breed dog, so my mom wanted an Akita just like Hachi. Coincidentally, a high-end Akita breeder lived down the street from us, and he had a litter for sale, and their parents were a very high pedigree. After visiting him a couple times, we adopted a female puppy and named her Teddy Ursa for short. And when she was a puppy, my dad brought her to school when picking me up. She was so small, but she quickly grew bigger than us. My mom, however, didn't want to train her, so we had an untrained dog running around who was the size of a bear. So she was left outside most of the time. At night, and when the weather got bad, she would live in the bathroom next to my sister's room. She had a cage, but it was eventually occupied by bunnies. When my sister moved out and into her now ex's house, she took Ursa with her. Her ex eventually bullied her into getting rid of her since they didn't have the space. Even though they also had a big dog that they were considering getting rid of, they made my sister give up our dog. They forced her to live in an uninsulated garage, and one of their dogs kept trying to kill her. So my sister gave Ursa to a shelter, and she was adopted almost right away. My sister still gets upset when she thinks about it. This next one is the last cat on this list. My parents were looking for another cat, and it came down to 2 options. There was this white cat with a black patch on his chin that looked like a soul patch, and a gray and white older cat that was scheduled to be put down. We chose the old cat, and her name was Serenade, Sarah for short. She was very shy and sick, so she settled down in the bathroom that Ursa would use later on. After getting over her sickness, she ran out into my sister's room one day, and under her bed is where she would stay, and she was officially dubbed my sister's cat. She was about a year older than me. She hated Boo, and only really tolerated Casper. When she moved out, my sister took Sarah and Ursa with her. And when she moved out of her ex's place, she took Sarah, and her other cat, with her. Sarah was very old by this point, and had gone deaf. Last June, on the 14th, my sister found her lying still on her couch. She was 19 years old. I still get teary-eyed thinking of all the years she gained because we decided to adopt her. Let's move on to the bunnies, shall we? Our next pet is Marshmallow, who probably changed my whole life. When I was little, I was obsessed with rabbits. I even thought I was one. So on one Valentine's Day, when my dad took me to Petco after school and bought a rabbit cage and rabbit food, I had my suspicions. When I got home, I was introduced to an albino bunny. My favorite children's book is Marshmallow, so it was easy naming her. Her original name before we got her was Stay Puft, so we decided her full name would be Stay Puft Marshmallow Girl, but we only called her Marshmallow. She got to hang out in the living room once, where she chased Boo around. About a month after we got her, on Good Friday after a day out, We found her in an odd position. My dad and I went to tell my sister about it when my mom rushed in and sent us to our rooms. I started to cry because I knew something was probably wrong with Marshmallow. My parents gathered the both of us to break the news that she had died. We figured that she had likely choked. The rabbit food we had given her had nuts in it, which she likely couldn't chew. Thanks a lot, rabbit food brands. She died on March 29th, 2013. This was the first time I really experienced loss. And this is when I learned to internalize everything. Basically, I got to the depression stage of grief, and I never left. Not long after Marshmallow's passing, my mom got a new rabbit. His name was Kichiro. We called him Kichi for short. He was a black and white spotted bunny, and he was very polite. He had a hide made from a cardboard box and took up residence in Ursa's old cage. Not with her in it, though. He never wanted to leave his cage, and when we took him out, he never wanted to go back in. One time I fell asleep with him on my chest, and I woke up to my dad being angry at me. After I fell asleep, he just sat by his cage until my dad let him back in. Before I go on, I'd actually like to move on to the next bunny, since their stories are interlocked. We got a black rabbit after getting Kichi. We named her Mimsy, after my favorite movie at the time. We got her as a friend for Kichi since he was neutered, though their first meeting didn't go well since Mimsy ended up bleeding. So we put a divider in the middle of the dog cage so they would get used to each other. This ended up working, especially since Mimsy once jumped over the divider to be with Kichi. Eventually the divider went down, and the bunnies became very close. Mimsy would bite me in the back whenever I was paying attention to him, and since she wasn't spayed, she would pee on you if you took her out for too long. We got them a ferret cage eventually. After being kicked out of our house, we didn't really have the room for them. So my parents gave Kichi and Mimsy away to the Rabbit House Society, and we haven't seen them since. The last pet I have for you is another bunny, and this one gets really disturbing. A long time after Mimsy, my mom impulse bought another rabbit. His name was Mochi, since he was a fluffy white ball. Since Mimsy wasn't spayed and Mochi wasn't neutered, they weren't allowed to be near each other. This didn't stop Mochi though, since he would hump both Kichi and Casper, who did not appreciate it. He would also pee on you if left out for too long. When my parents got rid of Kichi and Mimsy, my dad begged my mother to keep Mochi. She relented and Mochi stayed. However, given how things turn out, it would have been better to get rid of him too. My dad would often forget to clean his cage, and this resulted in poor Mochi getting covered in his own feces. My dad gave him a bath a couple times, but this really didn't do anything, and there was nothing I could do to clean him. One day he asked me to let Mochi out to play while he was at work. I did, and Mochi had been crystallized in his own feces. I laid him down on the hotel bed, and Mochi started to scream. Have you ever heard a rabbit scream? It's one of the most horrifying sounds I've ever heard. I started to cry and panic, and my sister, who was visiting, was in shock. He died quickly after. He died on June 11th, 2018. And there we have it. Sorry that it had to end so grim, but I didn't want to sugarcoat anything. Now, back to YouTuber business. Thanks for watching part 2, and make sure to watch part 1 if you still haven't watched it. If you liked the video, then hit that like, and if you want to see more, hit subscribe. Thank you all for watching this, and I hope you have a lovely rest of your day. Bye! Post-audio editing Mel here. Just wanted to say a couple things before the video ends. It took me a couple days to actually start recording this since my sister was visiting for Christmas. She was supposed to go home on Tuesday, but her flight got canceled in this major thing. And so she ended up going home on Thursday, which is today. So it took me a couple days to start actually recording this. Usually record on Mondays, so, it's a couple days. Anyway, it's 2 to 3 days till New Year's, so yay, this is the last audio I'll be recording of 2022. Also, this is probably going to be going up in March, so this is going to be late, but Happy New Year's! Hope it's been good to you all so far. Anyway, bye for real this time.